So we kind of made a big mistake here at the farm. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Strong.Sistas YouTube channel. In case you guys are new here, my sister Sarah and I are sharing our journey towards optimal human health and optimal soil health, which are ultimately connected. So our farm, Angel Acres, we are first generation female farmers starting this farm from scratch. So we have made a number of mistakes thus far and we have so much to learn, but we are here just out doing it and documenting this journey. So if you guys remember, earlier this year, we seeded a large portion of our property with a diverse cover crop mix. And one of those species was sorghum sudan. Well, it turns out that horses cannot consume sorghum sudan. It is toxic for them. So we had to pull Atlas off after having him on there for a day. And then we find out that sorghum sudan can also be toxic for lamb because the stalks will produce a chemical after a frost that can be poisonous and toxic for the lamb. So the stalks have got to go. We had no idea back then. And so next spring, we'll certainly choose a different mix. The large stalks did work really well this summer for the chickens because it provided them like some nice shade and protection from aerial predators, but it's not really working at this time of year. It's kind of a pain in the butt to set up the temporary electric netting to be able to move the lamb flock each day. And the lamb have not been angels this past week. They have gotten out like over 4 times now, and it's all my fault. I did not leave a big enough space. So rule number 1, do not let your animals get hungry, because if they get hungry, they will go search for food. Lamb refused to fast, so the lamb took matters into their own hands and jumped or pushed down the fence even though it was hot to go find food. So we switched from this front area here into the seated area, and I didn't really know how big to make the pasture size because it's tough to do like calculations with those huge large stalks, but clearly I didn't make them big enough. So lesson learned there. And also it's hay season. So it's time to just get rid of those stalks anyways, because it's November here in Michigan and the grasses are dying. A lot of things are going dormant over the winter. So the stalks have got to go, and it's gonna make our lives a lot easier, but the process of removing them is going to take a long period of time. So we have 20 acres out there that were seeded, and there's no way that we are going to be able to go through all of that this grazing season. So I'm gonna brush hog, chop up the biomass above ground, just a portion of it, and we'll see how that goes. So this is my first time using a brush hog. Here's the brush hog here. It's connected to our tractor. The chickens are inspecting it, making sure it's okay. Yeah, so basically there's just a big blade underneath, and that just spins and chops things up, so it doesn't like pull roots. It just like chops off the stems and the grasses, and so it's gonna just leave all of that on the field. This was a pain in the butt to get on. Thank you to our friend Mike who helped us attach all of the like 9 points on the tractor. But yeah, there's a first time for everything, and let's go chop up and brush hog these fields. So just want to clarify our mistake and our resulting lesson. It's not that the sorghum Sudan grass, so one of the cover crop species that we planted, is toxic in itself and is bad for grazing. In fact, I've heard that it's great for grazing in the right context, in the right season. So apparently it's really good for summer grazing, and we planted it as a warm season plant for that reason, for summer grazing. But for anyone that's been following our journey, they will know that we had that toxic mold exposure, and so that set us back a number of months, a rather traumatic experience. So we were gonna get the lamb in June, but Farmer Isaac, the farmer we got the lamb from, he kept them, held on to the lamb for a number of months while we were going through that experience. So rather than starting in June, we instead started in September, and that's kind of like the end of the warm season grazing period. So yeah, in the right context, sorghum Sudan is apparently great for grazing. This is just the wrong time of year because that stress of the frost on the plant can result in the plant producing those toxic chemicals. So that's why I'm brush hogging. I am done for now. So we just did this big area here. Got the chicken coop there. We've still got plenty of acres with the stocks, but I've got some things to do. So we are gonna test this out, and then in a few weeks, I will then move on that direction and do a little bit more. But for now, this will give us plenty of space to graze and move the coop. Chickens are looking at us out in their porch there. All of that above ground biomass is now chopped up and just on the ground. So we've got just some organic matter on the top of the soil that the lamb and chickens can munch on. And then of course their hooves will help push some of this into the soil. So this will be some good ground cover to keep the soil covered during these next couple months before we seed again next spring. Just moved the lamb flock to a fresh patch, and we spread a bunch of hay out there as well. So that was certainly a very long experience. This year was an anomaly. Ideally, we would have done 2 plantings, one in the early spring and one in the early fall. But it is what it is this year, and we'll take our mistakes and lessons and head into next year, 1 year of more experiences and more mistakes. All right, so that pretty much wraps up today's video. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next video on the Strong.Sistas channel. And until then, behave like an angel.